and not terribly surprisingly, they have fit into a couple categories. We had 13 individual questions about membership and logistics inside the party, 11 about field organizing, 8 about messaging, and 5 about money. And so we're going to do the same drill. Let's see, who was up next? It was, who chose the last question? You were the last one?
I lit off the last.
So who's after you?
Probably at the top.
Start at the top. Okay.
I don't know.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to read this question, and we're going to figure out when we're getting out of here. We're going to get out of here in 15 minutes. Okay, we got 3 questions, and what that means is we got 1 minute each. So you're going to get a 30-second sign from Dee Dee, and then you're out. You're going to get a close, but it's going to be it's going to be swift. Anderson, here's the first question. I know that this has been addressed by each one of you, and these folks don't know what the questions are going to be. But here's the question. What is your vision and plan, calling for specifics here, for increasing voter engagement and turnout, and what role does canvassing play in that plan? You got 1 minute. Go.
I think that canvassing plays an extreme role in that plan and being able to get out our voters. We have to talk to people face to face. We need to be on the doors in all of our communities and ensuring that people hear the Democratic message. I also believe that turns out into voter registration, to be honest with y'all. We need to register 175,000 new people to register to vote, new Democrats, honestly, in this state in the next 2 years to be able to do our jobs effectively and to get Democrats elected statewide. And so in order for us to do that, we have to have communities and counties that are constantly in their neighborhoods knocking on those doors and ensuring that they have the right tools and opportunities to be able to do that. That also responds to high traffic canvassing, which is something this party doesn't do a ton of, but it's something we need to start doing. We also need to start really prioritizing deep canvassing, especially in our rural areas, and teaching our communities on how to do that too. So I fully believe in organizing and canvassing and making sure that is a year-round model in our state. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Anderson. Bobby? 1 minute. The question is, what's your specific vision and plan for increasing voter engagement, and to what extent is canvassing a part of that?
My plan to increase voter thank you. My plan to increase voter turnout is to continue with the year-round organizing, and also to make sure that we are making all kinds of connections, not only the knocking on the doors, but we're also using text, and we're also using our media. We're also doing letter writing and everything that works with contacting people, because we still have some people who don't like to be out in person. And canvassing is very important. We need to know who our voters are, because each person that goes out and canvass has a device that they can enter that person's name into, and then we capture that person, and then we know to follow up with that person because they said that they will be a voter. So we need to make sure that we use all of our tools for communicating with the voters. We need to get out and knock on the doors as much as possible, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric? Your vision and plan for increasing voter engagement and canvassing.
So I actually think that canvassing is absolutely critical and is the baseline for communicating with the voters. That being said, what we need is a multimedia approach. We have to expand all different means that we can. That is getting on the phone, that's postcards, that's knocking on doors, that's meet and greets, that's downtown halls. A lot of folks, when you talk to them, they believe that some of these methods are mutually exclusive. Like, as soon as you say social media, people think, well, that means no canvassing. I'm like, no, it means both. We need to do it all, because different audiences are going to be listening to different messages. Some people don't answer the phones. Some people appreciate a written postcard. Some people are on Facebook or on TikTok or on Twitter or what have you, on these social media sites. And they are exclusively in those realms. And that's why we have to do a multicast of different media. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Eva? Canvassing is a part of increasing voter engagement. How do we do it?
My plan and my vision
is essentially a form of reverse engineering. Election day, November 2024. Work backwards, 23 months. You were all here because you got an invitation. You knew the date and the time. What I did in 2018 when Linda Coleman was running is I set an anchor at Happy Endings Pub, and I said, I'm gonna be at Happy Endings Pub every Sunday for 2 hours from 2 to 4. And for the first few times, it was just me and my neighbor and Nick. Eventually, people started showing up. Eventually, and I kid you not, when I became a swing left organizer and an indivisible organizer, 50 people showed up twice a day and came to the cul-de-sac where I had put out food, and they were canvassing 50 people twice a day. There was probably like 200 people. It was called Last Weekend. So you reverse engineer from election day, you have your 100 days out, you have your every Saturday and Sunday. It is not random. We all know what each other are doing. We have one Mobilize. I know how to use Mobilize and coordinate it. It's time to just do it the right way.
Thank you, Eva. Levon?
I think Eva had a great response. So my plan is simple. It goes back to what Anderson said. Voter registration, we do that all the time, but we don't ever follow up after we get people registered to vote. So we got to make sure we follow up. We need to focus on local organizing, especially diverse, not just in color, but also in the message. We're not a monolithic party. Everybody has different messages, and they can drive their base. Building a base. People want to help, but a lot of times do not know how to help. So we have to be in communication on trying to get people how to help. And that means bring them to a meeting, a county exec meeting or some type of meeting. But we need to make sure that our meetings are organized and that we have marching orders at each meeting and not just meeting to be meeting. And then having a detailed plan. And I feel like that's how we get ahead and we turn out vote and get canvassing right.
Thank you, Levon. Our next question is, how would you foster a strong working relationship with the party's 2024 nominees? And Bobby, I believe you're up first with that.
Thank you for that question. We are starting now to build that relationship. We are hearing from people who are already identifying themselves as candidates for the 2024. So what we're doing, if they're running for Congress, we're connecting them to the DSCC. If they're running for Senate, we're already connecting them to the DSCCC. And if they're running for the local, for the state in any capacity, then we have the Senate caucus and the House caucus that we're dealing with, and Council of States. We are dealing with them, and we're setting up meetings with our judicial branches within the next week to talk to them. So we are ready to hear who those candidates are and to begin to point them in the direction that they need to go to and to share with them who their key person is as far as funding is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric?
So first and foremost, what I want to point out is that what we are doing is a people business. That's what politics is. When it pertains to the party and the candidates, there needs to be a close personal touch. I would personally communicate as much as I can with the highest level candidates and then work my way down through the slate as far and deep as I could possibly go. I would want to get to know who these folks are. And in cases where I can't personally do it, I know that we have a structure in place. We've got county chairs, we've got district chairs. We have a first, second, and third vice chair. So there are several mechanisms that are in place where we can then divvy out the responsibilities of getting to know these campaigns, getting to know the candidates at a much closer and tighter level. That way we're not surprised when a skeleton comes out of the closet, for example. We need to do some of that research, right, on our own folks. That's a horrible gut punch. I know I had to bring it up. But it's important, right? Because we don't want to get punched in the gut in September, for example, or August. Let's get ahead of it, and then that's how we're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Eva?
Mr. Parker, will you read the question again?
Yeah, the question is, how would you foster a strong working relationship with the party's 2024 nominees? Eva?
So for instance, Many people may know this, but for those of you that don't, for the last 5 or 6, maybe 7 years, I'm the person that sought out the candidates, helped them tune up their Facebook pages. I would call them as soon as I knew they were running. Back in 2018, I made a list of the 26 Democratic hopefuls for Congress, sought them out, and Dee Dee's nodding her head. I have sought people out. There was the guy that Obama nominated. And I called him, I said, Obama, not nominated, he endorsed. I said, sir, you don't have a Facebook page. Obama just endorsed you. How fast, I'll come over to your house and do a Facebook page right now. Okay, so building and fostering that relationship is something I have stood for years. I lift people up. I stood in a room in Caldwell County and I said, oh, there's 35 of you women here in Caldwell Women Rise. I said, you see this woman right here? If 35 of you would support her, she could run. She did run. I can build the pipeline. I believe in people. People know that I lift people up. People in this room who have been inspired by me to run.
Thank you. Eva, Levon?
Thank you for the question. It comes down to training and mentorship. I met Jonah Garson at training for candidates who were inspired in 2017 to call the arena. I met a lot of people in this room based on training. I met Eva at that training. I met a lot of people. Mentorship is critical. We got too many folks out here who have so much information to give, but for whatever reason, we're not giving it to these candidates. We need to do check-ins, not only with the executive director and staff, but the chairs. Serious candidates are going to want serious information and serious training. Regional leaders that could be primary contacts. Regional leaders that could be primary contacts, especially in smaller counties. And we need to have an honest conversation with those candidates. What do you stand on? Do you agree with what we're doing? How can we help you? This is where we feel like you're going wrong. None of this can help anybody if we're not having honest conversations. So it comes down to training and mentorship and check-ins with staff. Thank you.
Anderson?
First of all, I think I make sure that Josh Dowling gets to every county in North Carolina and works with that county party weeks ahead of time in order to prepare for him getting there, right? We need to see our governor in every county across the state to make sure that our base is mobilized and energized to see that person there. And we need to be working with those county parties in order to take the folks that are coming out to those meet and greets, right? And giving them that email list and saying, here are volunteers that want to come out and knock those doors for you and get engaged with you. It means working down ballot with every single candidate, like Levon said, to make sure that they have training, right? To make sure that they have mentorship. I've talked to so many state or former candidates throughout this state that have just said that they've had a lack of mentorship, a lack of training, a lack of knowing where resources are really coming from in this party. And I think that we're just not utilizing our people well enough, to be honest with all of you. I think there are former state party candidates, former statewide candidates, honestly, that would be love to have the ability to come back and mentor candidates that are running this next cycle. And so I really want to be able to do that and provide that energy, and hopefully also help those people feel good about their races. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Anderson. Our last question is one that's kind of a sensitive question. And we've addressed it today because of the good vibe in this room. And we want to keep that good vibe going. So here's the question. And Eric, you'll start us off. Politics can be negative. How, as the North Carolina Democratic Party chair, will you remove the negativity and bring us together to continue to build the party for strength and growth? Eric?
So I've talked about my 30 years in the Marines, being a leader, and a lot of that is just like us. There's a lot of different personalities, and sometimes personalities can get in the way. In order to effectively lead an organization of a bunch of disparate individuals, we all have to get on the same sheet of music and acknowledge that we're on the same team. So a lot of times I found myself being a peacemaker. When there are two parties who are separate, find out what the issue is and then try to address it. And I'll give you an example. I had a precinct chair who was proving difficult with some of my officers. researched the plan of organization, realized what I could do as the county chair to remove that person. As I studied the problem some more, I came to find out in conversation with this woman that she was willing to be part of the solution. So the problems and the issues that she had, I co-opted her into the group. And then she became an integral and very important part of the team. So that goes back to the building bridges part. And I think that's a key part of leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva?
Well, as someone said earlier today, if you're not doing something, you won't get pushback. And I have certainly experienced pushback. Obviously, I ran 2 years ago and was honored to have lost to the first woman of color to lead the North Carolina Democratic Party ever. It was an honor to be in that race. And I made friends with Clayton, and now Clayton is one VC of the 2nd Congressional District. So the truth is, literally, it's as simple as a directory. And I would be happy to email anyone in this room the directory that I made, which listed, it's not current anymore, but all the county party chairs had their pictures in it, had their Facebook pages, a visual organizer for our party. We just don't have a way to connect to each other. If you don't have access to Vote Builder, you can suck it. You just can't get data. I can't get data in Wake County. Our chair doesn't let people have data. I can't have data in my own precinct. I can't get turf cut, even if I beg, okay? So I have to work around it. I download stuff from the State Board of Elections. But the truth is, we need to know who we are so we can love on each other.
Thank you, Eva. Lavon?
That was a lot right there. Can you repeat the question?
How do you accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between?
I have to do that every day as a teacher. Good God. It comes down to this. People want to feel they have a place at the table. People want to feel like they want to be heard. That's period. If they don't feel like they have a place at the table and they don't feel like they're going to be heard, this is where that petty infighting that we have amongst each other exists. So the first thing is, we got to kill the petty infighting that we have amongst each other in this room, in this party, period. There are some things that we're going to disagree about, and that's okay. That's what makes us unique. However, it distracts us from what the goal is. Republicans want a fractured Democratic Party. We need to be a united Democratic Party that has a broad space of different solutions to the same problems that we all know exist. So when we cut that out, we'll be better. We can be positive and know that, hey, I had a hand in electing somebody that's going to make a difference, not just for me, but the people who come in behind me and those whose shoulders we stand on. And that's how we do that.
Thank you. Anderson?
Excuse me, y'all. People in this party have felt the way they do because they haven't been heard or listened to. And in my opinion, that starts with doing exactly what I've done for the last 3.5 weeks, which is going around to counties, meeting with people in our party, and hearing the concerns, hearing where they want to see this party go, and the direction forward for it. And I really believe that means valuing everyone's voice in this party and caring about what they have to say. And when people feel that way, they will feel bought in. Whether or not we disagree, whether or not we misunderstand each other, people will know, I know that person and it's coming from a good place. We need to make sure that everybody has that understanding as a party that we are working together, but that folks at the top of this party are always going to care and hear and want to include and uplift the people on the ground, the folks that are actually doing the work every single day. Thank y'all so much.
And Bobby?
Thank you. What we must realize is this is a big tent. And when you have a big tent, you have a lot of opinions, you have a lot of brain thoughts, and you have a lot of smart people. And what we have to do is when these negative comments come up, instead of pasting them out there on social media and getting 5 or 10 of your friends to reiterate the negativity that you feel about this party, why not call the person in charge and say, I have an issue with something that happened, rather than posting it so the whole world can see. Because we've had several incidents that have done that, and leadership of the party was the last to know that these posts had been made. We are a big tent. We need to become a big family and care about each other, and also care about the privacy of this party when it comes to controversy within this party.
Thank you. We're now going to let the candidates have 1 minute to give their closing. It's 3 o'clock, and I think 1 minute each, and then we got a couple of announcements, and we're going to close it out. And Eva, you have the first closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eva Lee. E is for everyone, V is for victory, and A is for accessibility all the time. I want to reach out to everyone. I want to provide those calendar dates so we can anchor coherent, consistent times for people to do canvassing, to give you every single day, daily talking points, blue news, 24/7, 365. That banner right there, I made it into a state fair booth. I paid $1,000 for it. I took 11 days out of my life and stood at the state fair to make sure that we had something that would pop. It's time for the Democratic Party in North Carolina to pop and go past being a battleground. We need to be 10 points ahead in October of 2024. We need to be showing 10 points ahead, and the only way we get there is if we start working now. Thank you so much.
Levon?
First of all, I want to thank everybody in the room. It matters. You matter. Thank you for hosting this. My name is Levon Barnes. I'm an 18-year public school teacher. I care about my community. I care about your community. I care about the next generation and those whose shoulders we stand on. I want to just say this, leadership is hard. And regardless of anything, we have loyal Democrats at this table, and that needs to be recognized first, right? I get a lot of flack sometimes because I'm very honest. And they say, well, why would you run against somebody? It's not about the person. If I believe in the vision, if I believe in what we're doing, honestly, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't run. But if I feel like I can impact change and help change something, just a small thing, then I want to do that. And that's why I stepped up to the table, and I would hope that I could get your vote and your confidence going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Levon. Anderson?
I just want to say it has been an honor to run in this race. It has been such an honor to talk to so many Democrats across this state. And I tell folks all the time, no matter what happens in this race, I'm going to be fighting on behalf of rural North Carolina next year. I'm going to use every bit of the connections and the potential and the people that I have tapped into in this campaign to do that work across our state to make sure that rural North Carolina feels heard again in this party and to make sure it's got that voice. But I will just say, being a young person in this party right now, everybody has consistently asked me all the time, Anderson, where are the young people? We're standing up here right now before you. We want to take on the responsibility of this party, and we want the opportunity to bring young folks back into this party because they've been left out before, and they've been left out since. And we want to make sure that they can see themselves, that they see a young person in charge of this party and has the ability and the support of the Democratic Party to do this job effectively and with the support of everybody on the ground. We have an opportunity to show young people we believe in you, we want to value you, and we want to hear your voice. So let us have that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anderson. Bobby Richardson.
Thank you. I too would like to thank everyone for being here. This has been an awesome experience, and we thank you for giving us that opportunity. There are 3 things that has happened in this last 4 years that has created my motivation for wanting to remain chair of the Democratic Party. The first one was the January 6th event, and then it was the Roe repeal, and then it was the fact that we are being gerrymandered to the point that we cannot select quality candidates. I also want to remind you that in the Democratic Party, the executive director has resigned. There needs to be some continuity in that party because we need someone who can hit the ground running and continue the programs and the leadership of the North Carolina Democratic Party because our executive director has resigned. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric?
So we need three things: leadership, organization, and good communication. Up here at the table, we got a lot of strong leaders. I really appreciated this slate, and thank you all for coming out here to meet all of us and spend some time with us. That's absolutely fantastic. On the organization piece and the leadership piece, clearly my 30-year career in the Marines, culminating as me being a colonel with 8 combat tours, that's what we do. That we do a time immemorial. We constantly go into a unit, organize, tweak it, and make it better. On the communication piece, communication is a circle. You need to know what the messaging is from the top down, and from the bottom up, we need to know what you need. And that's that circle. That's the circle of communication. That is broken right now, and that's what we need to fix in order for us to be united and to be able to work together. You've heard from several of the candidates put in different ways, but that's what I firmly believe. Leadership, organization, and communication. Thank you.
I need the mic.
This one's not already. Gotcha.
See, the candidates are already helping out. Matilda Phillips, where are you? Matilda's back in the back. Chris Teleska. These two folks said back in November, let's get together and talk about some Democratic Party politics, and they came up with this idea of doing a forum, and it's been a marvel. The questions that y'all asked will all be typed up and sent to the candidates so that they can respond to them as they see fit, either directly to you or on their websites. That is their choice. Ryan Jenkins with the Progressives is right back here. Ryan, I'm going to walk to you because he's got another forum that's coming up, and I want him to tell you just 30 seconds about it.
Same thing, but on Zoom, January 29th at 7 p.m. Get in touch with me, and I'll get you an invite. And feel free to submit questions. So, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have just been marvelous. You're here for a reason. You're here because you care about the Democratic Party. All of these candidates care about our Democratic Party. Let's rise as one, give them all a hand, and we are dismissed. Thank you very much.